Section 1. The silent assassination of attention. There is no weapon more precise, more surgical, and more devastating than silence. Not the kind born of passivity or fear, but the kind chosen with intent. The Stoics knew that the moment you react with emotion, you've handed your enemy the one thing they crave, your attention. But when you choose not to react, when you refuse to block, respond, or even acknowledge them, you become something terrifying. You become indifferent. And indifference is a form of power so potent, it erases people without a word spoken. When someone betrays you, insults you, or tries to chip away at your character, the average person fires back, hoping for justice. But justice isn't served by stooping to their level. The real victory is found in becoming untouchable. That means you don't scream, you don't type angry paragraphs, and you don't play games with the ghost of what they used to be in your life. You simply detach. Like cutting a thread from your soul. You delete them without blocking them. Why? Because blocking is a confession. It tells them they got under your skin. Silence, on the other hand, is a puzzle they can't solve. It's the sentence they hear in every quiet moment. It forces them to wonder, to replay everything, to spiral in their own paranoia. That is Stoic emotional warfare, not revenge, but transcendence. Not retaliation, but absolute absence. Section 2. Detachment is domination, the greatest illusion the modern world sells is that you must respond to everything. Every insult, every betrayal, every piece of drama thrown your way, social media, relationships, even the workplace, it all whispers, react, show them you care, prove them wrong. But that's the trap. The more you react, the more control you surrender. Stoicism teaches the opposite. It tells you that detachment is not weakness, it's dominance. True emotional mastery doesn't come from being untouched by conflict. It comes from being able to see conflict, feel it, and still choose not to flinch. That's when you become dangerous, not because you fight fire with fire, but because you become the fire itself. Cold, controlled, precise. When someone wrongs you, the temptation is to respond, to argue, to correct the narrative. But in doing so, you validate them. You show them they still have emotional real estate in your mind. Detachment strips them of that power. You don't block. You don't respond. You don't explain. You just vanish. And that silence? It echoes. It breeds regret, self-doubt, and confusion in the minds of those who tried to destroy your peace. Because while they wait for your meltdown, for your clapback, for your breakdown, what they get instead is a man or woman who walks away with grace, unshaken, unreachable, and uninterested. That's domination. That's how you delete someone, without touching a single key. Section 3. Your energy is currency. Spend it with ruthless precision. Every second you spend thinking about someone who betrayed you is a second you've lost. Not just lost, but invested into the very people who tried to break you. Your energy is your most valuable currency. And like money, where you spend it determines your future. Stoics knew this truth before modern psychology gave it a name. They understood that attention is power. Focus is influence. And if your thoughts revolve around your enemies, you're financing your own destruction. Deleting your enemies doesn't mean pretending they never existed. It means stripping them of the one thing they crave most, your attention. When you stop responding, stop checking their profiles, stop wondering what they think or feel, you starve them of emotional fuel. They begin to feel irrelevant, erased, and hollow. That's not cruelty. That's discipline. You see, most people waste years feeding enemies with their thoughts. They replay old arguments, analyze betrayals, stalk social media like detectives hunting for closure. But closure is a lie. Real closure doesn't come from explanations. It comes from evolution. You outgrow them. you transform. You build a life so powerful, so peaceful, that their memory can't survive in the new atmosphere of your being. Ask yourself, why would a king argue with a jester? Why would a lion chase rats? The Stoic answer is, he wouldn't, because his energy is reserved for what matters: legacy, growth, discipline, and peace. So the next time you feel the urge to respond, to prove a point, to get that last word, don't. Let your energy flow where it matters. Let your silence remind them what they lost. This is how you win, not by fighting harder, but by disappearing better. Section 4. Rejection is a redirection, and you control the Mach 1 of the deepest wounds. We carry the sting of rejection when someone we trusted, admired, or even loved turns cold, distant, or cruel. But here's the Stoic truth most people aren't ready to hear. Rejection is never the end of the story. It's the correction of your direction. It's life realigning you with a path that no longer includes those who are never meant to walk beside you for the long haul. What you perceive as loss is often protection. When someone leaves, betrays, or disrespects you, they've simply revealed that they're not capable of handling the depth of your character, the weight of your vision, or the strength of your presence. It hurts, yes, but that pain? That's the universe snatching away the distractions so you can focus on your higher purpose. The Stoic doesn't chase. He doesn't beg to be understood. He doesn't spiral in self-pity. He adapts. He learns. He upgrades. While others are busy wondering what they did to hurt him, he's already moved on, not in bitterness, but in brilliance. Because he knows this, what's meant for him will never require desperation. What's meant for him will never disrespect him. You delete your enemies by upgrading your direction. You stop walking toward people who never had the capacity to meet you there. You don't block them, you outgrow them. You don't try to make them see your worth. You show your worth by becoming someone impossible to ignore. And when they realize what they lost, what they threw away, what they dismissed, they'll look around and see a void. A space once filled by your presence. And no apology, no message, no regret will fill that silence you left behind. This is the power of Stoic redirection. Silent, sharp, and undeniable. Section 5. The silent withdrawal, pulling back without a sound. There is a strategy more lethal than confrontation, more haunting than shouting, more unforgettable than revenge. It's the silent withdrawal, the moment you decide to pull your energy, your presence, and your emotions without uttering a single word. This is not passive aggression. This is not manipulation. This is Stoic warfare. A conscious, calculated decision to detach from chaos and reclaim your peace. See, most people expect noise. They expect drama when they disrespect you. They expect a storm when they betray you. They want to provoke your reaction so they can label you as bitter, crazy, or obsessed. But when you give them nothing, not your tears, not your anger, not even your confusion, they're left in a vacuum. A space so empty, it echoes. The silent withdrawal is a signal to the universe that you are done negotiating your value. You no longer beg to be chosen. You no longer wait for closure. You no longer participate in a story that doesn't serve your future. You walk, not to punish them, but to protect yourself. This is where the true transformation begins. In silence, you rebuild. In silence, you strengthen your inner world. You redirect your energy into creation, not confrontation. You invest in your goals, your mindset, your next level. And the beauty of this process? They notice. They feel it. Because people don't truly realize what they had until it's no longer available on demand. By silently withdrawing, you rob your enemies of the chaos they crave. You remove yourself from their game, and in doing so, you win. Not because they were defeated, but because you elevated beyond the battlefield. You turned your pain into presence, your wounds into wisdom, your silence into power. And the best part, you don't owe anyone an explanation for your peace. Section 6. Elevation as elimination. Rise so high they can't reach you. The Stoic doesn't eliminate enemies through revenge. He doesn't plot or plead. He ascends. Because there's one move they never see coming, and that's your elevation. The higher you rise, the smaller their words become. The greater your focus, the more irrelevant their distractions seem. This is emotional warfare at its finest, not loud, not explosive, just undeniable. When you focus on your personal growth, your fitness, your income, your peace, and your discipline, you become untouchable. You operate at a level where their insults can't survive. You've changed the altitude. And at this height, the air gets thinner. Not everyone can breathe here. Not everyone can follow. Especially those who wanted you to stay broken, dependent, or lost. Your success becomes your silence. Your progress becomes your proof. Every step forward, every moment of self-control, every time you choose to not respond, it's a quiet message. You no longer have access to me. They'll try to provoke you, stalk your success, imitate your mindset, but they'll never replicate your discipline. That's the gap. That's the power. You don't have to block them. You don't even have to speak their name. You just become so immersed in your vision, so locked in your mission, so elevated in your standards that they're deleted by default. It's not hate, it's hierarchy. You simply outgrew the version of you that entertained them. And when they finally look up from their games, they'll see a version of you they don't recognize. Stronger, calmer, sharper, and far, far out of reach. That's how a Stoic wins, not by dragging enemies down, but by climbing so high they fall off the radar. Your silence? It's not surrender. It's ascension. Section 7. Becoming the ghost when absence speaks louder than presence. There's a psychological tactic hidden in Stoicism that most people overlook: becoming the ghost. Not in a spooky, dramatic sense, but in the most strategic, soul-shaking way possible. When someone crosses your boundaries, disrespects your loyalty, or takes your presence for granted, the most powerful move isn't a confrontation. It's your disappearance. Stoics don't chase. They don't beg for explanations or closure. They observe, calculate, and vanish. No announcement, no rage, no grand exit, just absence. And in that space you leave behind, something terrifying grows for the enemy. Silence. That silence becomes a mirror they can't escape. One that forces them to face the reality of what they've lost, what they never appreciated, and what they can no longer reach. When you ghost with purpose, it's not about ignoring. It's about honoring yourself. You remove your energy from the battlefield because your peace is too valuable to gamble. You disappear into discipline. You retreat into evolution. And the irony? They start to talk more in your absence than they ever did in your presence. They create stories to fill the void. They try to lure you back, not because they care, but because your silence is louder than any words you could have said. And let's be clear, ghosting isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's emotional control in its rawest form. You're not cutting them off to hurt them. You're cutting them off because they no longer have the privilege to witness your journey. They lost access. And once a Stoic revokes access, it's permanent. The ones who truly hurt you never forget your silence, because it speaks in a language they can't ignore. No blame, no chaos, just absence. The kind that haunts them quietly. Forever. Section 8. The art of no reaction. Breaking their power without saying a word. If your enemy can control your reaction, they control you. It's a principle most overlook until it's too late. The Stoic doesn't react. Not because he's numb or passive, but because he understands that reaction is surrender. The moment you explode, defend, or explain, you've already lost the high ground. You've stepped into their world, played their game, and they win by default. But when you master the art of no reaction, everything changes. You become unreadable, uncheckable, and for your enemies, that's terrifying. They throw jabs, but you don't flinch. They bait you, and you stay calm. They try to trigger you, but there's nothing to grab onto. And in that silence, they reveal more about themselves than they ever meant to, because the need to provoke stems from weakness. The need to be seen, to dominate, to be right, it all comes from insecurity. And when they get nothing back from you, they start to unravel. You take the oxygen out of their fire. You take their audience away. You strip their control. And here's where the power multiplies. Your calm becomes infectious. Others notice. Your enemies look foolish shouting into silence. They lose credibility. They become noise. And you become the signal. Stoic silence isn't just about ignoring someone. It's about choosing power over chaos. In a world that rewards impulsive outbursts and reactive emotions, the one who masters stillness becomes a weapon. A quiet force that can't be manipulated, distracted, or provoked. You hold your line. You keep your peace. And your enemies? They break themselves trying to break you. So next time someone tries to bait you, don't rise to it. Don't explain. Don't justify. Just stand still and let your silence do what their noise never could. Win without fighting. Section 9. Erase them from your mind. The psychological power of indifference. True deletion doesn't happen on social media. It happens in your mind. Stoics knew that the greatest revenge is not revenge at all. It's indifference. The kind so deep that the very memory of your enemy fades into silence. You don't block them. You don't stalk them. You erase them from relevance completely. And without warning. See, when you block someone, you're still acknowledging them. You're saying, you affect me enough that I need to remove you. But when you go quiet, when you live like they never existed, when your growth continues untouched, they begin to rot in their own irrelevance. Indifference is not weakness. It's emotional discipline. It says, I've seen the chaos, and I choose not to participate. It says, you are no longer a factor in the direction of my life. That is how Stoics win. Not with confrontation, but by becoming unreachable. The enemy wants to be remembered. They want you to feel betrayed, wounded, angry. Because as long as you feel anything, they still matter. But when you truly don't care, when their name brings no tension, no spike in your pulse, no inner war, you've won in a way they'll never understand. This isn't about being cold, it's about reclaiming your peace. You don't owe them a performance. You owe yourself clarity, focus, and growth. When you remove someone mentally, their power dissolves. Their opinions? Irrelevant. Their existence? Background noise. Their attempts to haunt you? Echoes in a mind they no longer occupy. Erase them not with hatred, but with elevation. Outgrow the war. Outgrow the pain. And outgrow the version of yourself that ever needed their approval or revenge. Because at the end of the day, they can't haunt a mind that has moved on. Indifference is the deletion they never see coming. Section 10. Become so powerful they regret ever crossing you. Without saying a word, the most devastating response to betrayal, hate, or envy is not retaliation. It's transformation. It's becoming so powerful, so successful, and so unfazed that your very existence becomes their karma. You don't have to expose them. You don't have to bring them down. All you have to do is rise and let the silence of your glow do the talking. Because when someone wrongs you, they expect destruction. They expect tears. They expect collapse. But when you evolve in silence, When your discipline sharpens, your mindset upgrades, and your results multiply, they're left with a truth more painful than any revenge. They lost access to you at your worst, and they'll never be invited to witness your best. This is the Stoic way of war. Not to engage, but to ascend. Your growth becomes a mirror, showing them everything they tried to kill in you, alive and thriving. Your progress becomes a loudspeaker, amplifying your peace, your power, your new standards. And they can't silence that. They can't unsee it. They can only sit with the regret of knowing they played themselves. You don't block them. You build without them. You don't argue. You accomplish in front of them. You don't react. You rise beyond their reach, because nothing stings more than watching someone you tried to destroy become everything you couldn't be. Let your energy stay clean. Let your heart stay disciplined. Let your actions scream louder than their words ever could. One day, they'll look back, wishing they treated you better, wishing they had your calm, wishing they had your focus. But by then, it will be too late. You'll be too far ahead, not too evolved, not too free. If you felt the fire in this video, then fuel the flame. Like this video, comment your own original motivational quote below, and turn on notifications so you never miss a drop of Stoic wisdom from this channel. This is Stoic Life, and this was your reminder. You don't have to fight your enemies. You just have to make sure they never get to fight you again.